All right, let's get to our guest now, Brian. Ariel Cohen, a senior fellow at Atlantic Council, to discuss the war in Ukraine. As we heard from Ed's News, the stakes very high. Putin here saying the war in Ukraine will continue. We're hearing from the US side too that we can expect a protracted, drawn-out battle here. Tell us what you are hearing in terms of the invasion as we see Belarusian military join the Russians.
Yes, indeed. You see that after Putin committed 95% of the fighting force, it ground, I wouldn't say it ground to a total deadlock, but the things are not going very well for Vladimir Putin in Ukraine. His infantry in particular and his armor are being exhausted by the Ukrainian counterattacks. Ukrainians are showing an amazing level of heroism and self-sacrifice. However, as somebody in the U.S. military equipped, the Russian army is not so good, but it's very long. So the Russians are now sending not just Belarusians that you mentioned, that's an allied state under the dictator Alexander Lukashenko. I see reports they're going to send Syrian allies from Syria to take the cities, and also they send the Chechen fighters who have quite a reputation for being fierce, and apparently the Ukrainians managed to stop them as well.
Well, it begs the question, why not give Putin exactly what he doesn't want? And this is a point we got from General James Stavridis, saying that basically, you know, a more united NATO would scare Putin, and if you moved your forces closer to the flank there and put them in Poland, Latvia, Lithuania, and Estonia, and even on the southeastern region of the alliance in Romania, that would be making a very strong statement.
Indeed it will, but the question is, do we want to escalate already?
Well, it doesn't escalate. It doesn't escalate. It's not going in. It's just putting the defense right there close. Right. Not in Italy, and not in Belgium.
Yes, but the question is, does President Biden want something that is approaching World War III? Do we want to give Putin an excuse to use tactical nukes in accordance to the Russian doctrine of escalate to de-escalate? There's a lot of chatter, including on Russian TV, about tactical nukes, and I, for my sins, used to travel to Russia before COVID and participate in some of these talk shows, and that's where I picked up a lot of chatter about the coming quote-unquote big war with Ukraine and possibly with some other countries. Putin already threatened Finland and Sweden, our non-NATO allies, and that caused this Finnish president to come to see Mr. Biden on Friday. So this is an extremely fraught situation. I think we have to be careful. I have deepest respect to General Stavridis, met him several times, and he was also dean of my alma mater at the Fletcher School. But I would be very, very cautious. For example, giving these MiG fighters to Ukraine, by all means, and possibly what Ukrainians are telling me is that they desperately need anti-missile systems to protect them from the heavy Russian missiles that they're lobbing on civilian areas, destroying some of these beautiful Ukrainian cities like Kyiv, the capital, and Kharkiv, where I spent some time in my childhood with my grandma. So the Russians are doing war crimes, committing war crimes in Ukraine. No question about it. Over 1 million refugees into Europe. It's made to stabilize Europe. But in terms of getting closer to a nuclear exchange with Russia, thanks, but no thanks.
Let's talk about the impact of sanctions. We're continuing to hear big companies pull out of Russia. We've had Visa and MasterCard joining as well, suspending activities in Russia. This is further isolating Russia's economy. You're saying, though, the sanctions not enough to stop or change Russian behavior or Putin's behavior?
So far, these sanctions in the long term, and here I think President Biden is right, the sanctions are going to bite in a month or so. Russians are horrified. I monitor Russian social media. They are horrified. And it's funny because the Ukrainians are bemoaning their dear ones who are killed or wounded. The Russians are horrified that they won't be able to pay with Visa or some fashion retailers are closing, or they won't be able to go to the French Riviera for vacation.
Yeah.
But in the longer term, I think what will really make Russia reconsider possibly is to shut the SWIFT banking system.
Yeah, yeah.
And
more than they're already doing. Yeah, listen, I want to ask you one quick question, Dr. Cohen.
Just one point.
Okay.
Oil and gas sales are Russia's lifeline. If you start shutting those down, and there are ways to fill the void by Saudi oil, Kuwaiti oil, even Venezuelan oil, as much as I detest the Venezuelan regime.
Okay,
Russia,
we got to go. Dr. Cohen.
Okay.
Thank you so much. Question I'll say for the next time, we love having you on, is, when do the military generals step in if Putin destroys the economy? Ariel Cohen is with us from the Atlantic Council. This is Bloomberg.
Thank you for watching. Please subscribe to get more content like this.